June 15th meeting of the Washington County Public Affairs Forum. It's our last meeting for the season, and that means that it's also our annual meeting. So that's what we're going to do first before we have the opportunity to hear about what's happening in our county. Folks, I'm obligated to take a few more minutes to tell you that as we call this meeting to order, the announcements were sent out both by email and regular mail for those of our members who do not have an email. They were sent out within the 60-day notice. Email notices went out on May 22nd, or 30-day notice, pardon me, May 22nd, 2015, and the posted notices went out on May 19th. There is no quorum necessary, so we have one, which is an interesting way of putting that. And there is no proxy voting, so no advance votes have been set. We, before we get into the reports and a slate, now we'll do the reports first. First of all, there's a report from me. I'm supposed to talk about what we've been doing the last year. What we've been doing the last year is noticing that we're not growing. So in order to take a look at that, what have we done? Well, we've got a part-time executive director waving his hand over there. We have been looking at reconstituting this board as we're losing some people at the end of this year, or today, pardon me, we're losing some people. There are term limits, etc. And we have been trying to put together a good board with people who have been with us for a while, as well as finding some new ones. As soon as we get to that slate, you'll hear where that process is gone. We have started to engage in conversations about working together with the Portland City Club, with other organizations as well. We've raised our membership by a whole $5, which hopefully does not burden anybody, but it frankly can give us a little bit of help. We've started a donation program. We'll be working harder on that as well. We have, well, our treasurer will tell you in just a minute about the donation program that's going through to the end of this month. And we have had some really exciting speakers this year, and we're looking at more exciting speakers next year. That's a quick and fast report, but let me add to that by inviting our treasurer to give us a little bit of the state of the finances. Anthony?
Good morning, thank you for all coming out. Just very quickly, we have a total of $10,770.59 in the various bank accounts that we have. We have net fixed assets, which is the equipment, of $2,629. Speaking on membership, we have these membership envelopes in the back. If this is the new membership season, we have a couple people who've already paid. We also have a matching donation program that Rob referenced. Those donations can also be put in these envelopes and just mark that it's a donation. We have the ability to take credit cards now, so if you don't have cash or a check today, go ahead and fill out the credit card information if you like. The matching donation program is running through the end of the month, so anything that you donate to us is tax deductible, as well as we get it matched 100%. So even if you're just going to donate the cash that you have in your pocket, any little bit helps, so I really appreciate that. And just so you know, we have donations of exactly $800 as of this morning. So we'd like to get that up some more. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Anthony.
It's nice to hear financial news that doesn't start off with, well, we're broke.
Yes.
Thanks an awful lot. You know, I'm going to present a slate, but before we look at the future, I want to take just a moment, just a fast moment of your time to take a fast look at the past. This organization has had some wonderful support from people, from long-term support, and we'd like to acknowledge that. First of all, would the treasurer please come back up again and not talk about money? Anthony, for your service. And it doesn't have money in it, I'm sorry, but it's a certificate of recognition, incredibly well earned.
Yes.
I'll take it. Let me take it.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah, Anthony, you earned it. Thank you.
Let's get a picture.
Smile. You're supposed to smile, all right?
There you go.
Thank you. And the gentleman who has been primarily, yes, he's had help, but has been primarily responsible for the quality programs that the forum has been able to bring to you. He has served for so many years, I can't do the addition. Frankly, I can't do addition very well anyway, but would John McWilliams please come up? John, your service is legendary, and you're also going to get stuck getting a picture.
Yes. It's smile. Can we see your certificate, John?
Whip it out.
See how I just take over?
I-
We ask me to speak and I just take over.
All right.
All right.
It's even spelled right, too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. You're welcome. Thank you very much. Thank everyone.
You know, just as a quick reminder of what we do here, I want to read a card that I just got in today's, well, given to me in today's mail. Dear Washington County Public Affairs Forum members, thank you for inviting me to share information with your group this week, it was a few weeks ago, about issues of poverty in our community. I was delighted to see your thoughtful engagement, your excellent questions, and your obvious concern for the well-being of our community. All the best, and this is from Community Action. Folks, it's really neat to have speakers come here and give feedback about the great questions that people ask. We are known as an intelligent group of people. I don't know how we did it, but that's our reputation, and I'm expecting it to continue through the next year. As we talk to people, longtime forum members and newer members, and we are gaining new members. I believe I was told we got a brand new member today, as a matter of fact. But as we looked at those members, we looked at people who had a combination of the time, the interest, and the willingness to serve on the board. As such, we've developed a slate, and the slate has some vacancies in it. There'll be one nomination from the floor from a lady who has agreed to serve on the board who is not here today, but we have her agreement. But first, the chair would entertain a motion to accept the following slate with its vacancies. We'll get to the vacancies in a minute. The current slate presented for president, me, Rob Solomon. Weird to introduce myself like that. First vice president, John Tyner. Secretary, Phil Nelson, continuing in the role. Director for 2016, Spencer Ehrman. Director 2017, Chris Leslie. The chair would entertain a motion to accept that slate.
So moved.
We have a move and
Second.
a second.
Gotcha.
And we're taking notes here, so we doing okay? Good, I think we are.
Emily moved and Terry seconded?
Yes, you got it, perfect.
Thank you.
All those in favor, this is for voting members, which means you have to be paid up, so if you need to vote on this and you're not paid up, quick, grab an envelope. Okay, nobody's grabbing an envelope, so I'll take the vote. All those in favor of this slate, please indicate by raising your hand. Thank you, and thank you for keeping the forks and knives on the table. Opposed, if any? All right, the slate is in.
If you're opposed, you're on board.
There are 3 positions left on the board: second vice president, treasurer, and director, serving through to 2018. Because of the timing when the slate was closed, we had somebody agree to be on the slate for second vice president, and she's supposed to be here today, but she has agreed, and as such, may I ask for the nomination from the floor, please? Esther?
I nominate Elizabeth Firth as our new person.
Second vice president.
Second vice president.
Thank you. May I have a seconder? And we have Jim as the seconder. Is there any further nomination for the position of second vice president? Any further nominations for the position of second vice president? Any further nominations for the position of second vice president? Having asked 3 times, I declare nominations closed. All those in favor of Congresswoman First for second vice president, please indicate by raising your hand. Thank you. And yes, with all due respect, I'm sorry she isn't here to hear that applause. If she was, there would have been even more, I'm sure of it. We're looking forward to working with her. As far as the position of treasurer goes and the director 2018, the board is content to spend the summer finding the right people to fill those positions. However, by law and by good common sense, I need to invite nominations from the floor for each of those positions. If there are none, the board is not concerned. The board will be developing as it needs to, hopefully through the summer before our first program in September. But for the position of treasurer, are there any nominations from the floor? Are there any nominations from the floor? And Ted, I know you can't serve, and I'm sorry about that, but all these people that are employed in financial situations. Anyway, third, any nominations from the floor for treasurer? Okay, nominations are closed, the position remains open. Are there any nominations from the floor for director serving through 2018? Any nominations from the floor for director serving through 2018? I want to say ditto, but I better not. Are there any nominations from the floor for director serving for 2018? Declare nominations closed. That position is open. Your board will take care of that. Ladies and gentlemen, is there any further business, any old business from the floor? I know you're anxious to hear our speaker, and so am I. Is there any?
One question, if I might.
Sure, please.
Who's going to do the books until the end of the month and so forth and so on?
Very good question. The end of the month, our outgoing treasurer will continue. And our board will be looking at putting the treasurer function in the hands of one of the board members on a pro tem interim basis. We're not going to let that go, and we're sure as heck not going to give it to me.
So if you have money to give, don't worry, I will make sure it gets into the bank.
We're careful about that, and we'll be well handled. Any new business from the floor? Any new business? All right. Then, ladies and gentlemen, without
I think
keeping...
before you end, I think we should give you a round of applause because you've done a tremendous job.
Thank you, that's very kind, I appreciate that. And I hope that next year for the forum is stronger and we'll prove it. We'll prove it. Ladies and gentlemen, from the Washington County Visitors Association, we have not the vice president, but the president, Carolyn McCormick. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we have some comedians amongst us, correct? Maybe not. All right, I'm Carolyn McCormick, and I've got the great pleasure of being in charge of a little organization called the Washington County Visitors Association. We are designed to market, promote, as well as help to develop this county when it comes to trying to encourage people to visit and, more importantly, spend the night in a paid accommodation. For example, a Hilton, an Embassy Suites, a Marriott, so on and so forth, or at one of our lovely campgrounds. Anyhow, John called me probably a month or 2 or 6 ago, long time ago, and asked me if I'd come and wrap up this year and tell you all about things that you can do this summer in Washington County. And you don't have to drive 5 hours away, and you don't have to fly to Orlando. You've got so much here in your backyard. So I want to walk through a couple of things and be available, of course, if you have any questions or any comments about who we are, what we do, or what you should be doing this summer with whether it's your loved one or your grandchild or your granddaughter or your daughter's boyfriend. So, Eric, you're going to help me out here a little bit if I need it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So a couple of things that I do want to bring to your attention that actually don't have a pretty slide with them, but there's a couple of events this summer that are very big, and they're actually once in a blue moon do they come our way. One of them is the girls 18 and under gold softball championship, and that is a big deal. It's 18 and under. It's going to be held at the Hillsborough Stadium this summer. It'll be July 19th to the 24th, and I don't believe there's any charge for anybody to go. But what you're going to be able to see is the best of the best, the creme de la creme of girls softball. And then in August, we have another event that we haven't had here in, I would say, several decades. And that is the Women's USGA, U.S. Golf Association Amateur Open Championship. And that will be at the Portland Country Club. Even though it's called Portland Country Club, that country club is actually in Washington County, and it's right there by the Washington Square Mall. And I believe it's in Tigard or Beaverton or maybe unincorporated Washington County. But that's a big deal for all of us. and for all the folks that live here, as well as all of the women that are going to come and play for that championship. And also want people to know that spectator sport, you can't participate if you haven't qualified, but that spectator sport is also open to the public, and there is no charge for that as well. What you're also going to see throughout the events and festivals and things that I talk about this summer, a majority of them, there is no charge. And that's the beauty also of what we have to offer here in Washington County. It doesn't matter what your income is. It doesn't really matter what your education is. But everybody can enjoy our festivals and our parks and our main streets, as well as our libraries and all that our parks have to offer with no charge. And again, I said most of the things are free. Not everything is free. But one event coming up pretty quick here is the summer solstice. And you can go up there at night, and that's at Stubbs Stewart State Park, and that's June 21st. You've got your Festival of Balloons coming up, and that's in Tigard. And unfortunately, I have yet to witness it here. Has anybody had the pleasure of actually seeing it? Great. So that's coming up this weekend. Actually, 2 weekends. So excited to see that. Then you've got the Tualatin River Discovery Day Paddle. That's June 27th. And as you do know, you can paddle along the Tualatin River anytime you want throughout the year. There just happens to be a couple of events throughout the year that celebrate the breadth and depth, or lack of depth, of the river. Oops, and we just passed one. You've got your classic car show in Tigard, the end of June. That happens to be my youngest daughter's 19th birthday, June 28th. Then a concert, actually a pig roast, which is coming up June the 21st. And then wine and watermelon is July 4 to 7 at the Plum Hill Vineyards. And I hate to be peeking over here, but maybe Eric, you can help me. So I can see that a little bit better.
What we can do is just.
Oh, fabulous.
That work for you?
That's better. Your executive director, Eric, he also holds executive director title for 3 other organizations, and I don't know how you do it, but appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, then you've got a Concerts in the Park series that's coming up with the Tualatin Hills Park and Rec Department, and most of you know that they have quite a few events that happen throughout their park system. 10 Tiny Dances in Beaverton. Any of you gone to that yet? It's July the 11th. Please go. There's 10 stages throughout the city of Beaverton, right in the downtown area, and you have people that dance on those little stages, and it's quite something. You've got a lavender festival coming up, and again, throughout the season when the lavender is in bloom, you can go anytime you'd like, but there is actually a lavender festival here, July 10th to the 12th. And then Forest Grove, you've got those beautiful cars, the Court Elegance. Oregon International Air Show. This year, the Blue Angels are back. We didn't have them last year. Remember, the air show was shifted to September. Well, this year the Blues are back, and you're going to see that air show July 17th to the 19th. Also, getting to the air show is not that difficult for folks. You can get on the Max. It'll take you right there to the fairgrounds and walk right over to the air show. You also have the 14th Annual Northwest String Summit, and that's in North Plains, July 16th to 19th. One thing to note is that is a big weekend. There's a lot happening here, July 16th to the 19th. You've got the 14th Annual Roadhouse Brew Fest. Brews are becoming really big here, and that's July 18th. Then you've got in Sherwood, you've got dressage. So it doesn't matter what your interest. A Midsummer Night Paddle in Tualatin. I think I'm actually going to do that. That's July 18th. Has anybody here ever experienced the Tualatin at night on the river? Have you back there? Not at night, yeah. You'll have to join me then. And then Party in the Park, again, a THPRD event. You've got a really neat farm to table event that's happening this summer in Sherwood, and that's July the 25th. And the place is called Our Table in the Field. International celebration in Beaverton. I don't know if any of you know this, but there's 93 languages spoken in the Beaverton School District. It's pretty phenomenal. And the number of restaurants and the diversity of restaurants that you have in the city of Beaverton as well as Hillsborough really makes us a great place for people to venture out and eat. The County Fair, another big event, July 30th, and that's through August 2nd. I just listened to the headliner at the county fairgrounds, and help me out here. I think it's Florida. Have you heard of Florida? I didn't either, but Florida is a funky rap group and very, very popular from what I understand. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of attraction it becomes.
You have to add it to your water.
Then you've got the Tualatin Crawfish Festival, that's July 31st, August 2nd. I really encourage you to support that. The festival's had some challenges. It's always a great, great time, but certainly want to see some folks support that. Then you've got a great museum out here that you can visit anytime you'd like, just about. But they do have their big event, which is the Northwest Rock and Mineral Museum Festival, and that's August 1st to 2nd. Have any of you been to the Northwest Rice Museum of Minerals and Rocks? Yes, great. And do you know that they just got a Smithsonian affiliation? So that's very important to us. But it's a fabulous gem, no pun intended, in Washington County. Then you've got your Elephant Garlic Festival in August. We have a Big Truck Day. That's a big deal. Big Truck Day in August at how do I say this? Conestoga? Conestoga, excuse me. I butchered that, didn't I? And if anybody's up for riding 60 or 70 miles on a bike, you've got the Beaverton Banks and Beyond is August 15th, so get your trek bike out in your helmet and you can join them. You've got a Wapato Showdown, August the 22nd, which I think is a car show. And then Fairy Worlds, that's out at Horning's Hideout, which would be quite an awesome event to witness. I don't know about participating in, but that's September 4th to the 6th. And it looks like everybody dresses up as fairies and float around. You've got a Sidewalk Toss Festival, that's in Forest Grove. And then, of course, let's get to the things that are open year-round and aren't just in the summertime. You've got outdoor recreation abound. What I also put out for you all is a copy of what we call our Nature Passport. And this passport was designed not just for adults, but also for children, and trying to encourage those that visit here as well as live here to go and experience all that we have to offer when it comes to our outdoor recreation. Stubbs Stewart State Park. In Stubbs Stewart State Park, you can camp, you can play disc golf, you can ride horses, you can ride your bike, you can sleep in a tent, you can sleep in an RV if you have one. You can also sleep in a log cabin. You can also catch a Hillsborough Hops game. This is one of the things I mentioned earlier that you would have to pay for. And I'm not quite sure what the price tag is, but it can't be more than $9 or $10 a ticket. And the Hillsborough Hops, I believe, won their championship last year. And so they're a big deal, which is great to see a minor league ball team have such a major attendance. And we're happy to see that. Okay, I'm not going to try this again, but there's a pool at one of the THPRD parks. Then you've got your Tualatin River National Wildlife Refuge. Please go out there if you haven't been out there. It's really maturing nicely. It's what we call an urban refuge, and our national park system doesn't have many of those, so we're happy that we've got one here. You've got a First Friday in Beaverton every week. You've got the Fano Creek Trail that you can get out with your kids. Again, it's an off-road hike, bike, walk path throughout the Beaverton area. Fern Hill and Jackson Bottom Wetlands. Has anybody been out to Fern Hill lately? Yes, they've just put the water on last week, as a matter of fact, temporarily. And it was great to see how things are starting to mature. But we're excited to see that $20 million improvement, $20 million into Fern Hill. And the Fern Hill and Jackson Bottom are also important parts of our system when it comes to visitation, because not only are these beautiful wetlands and places for you to certainly appreciate the flora and the fauna, but they're also located along the Tualatin Valley Scenic Bikeway. So we're happy to see the maturing and as well as the dedication of putting funds into both Jackson Bottom as well as Fern Hill. Another thing to note, we just celebrated a couple of weeks ago a forest restoration project, and where the people here in Washington County actually replanted 2 million trees. Have you heard about that? It was the Million Tree Program, and we ended up not just planting 1 million, but 2 million trees. So that's a pretty big deal. And you'll see that felt, of course, not just in the Tillamook Forest, but in other areas where you've seen some deforestation happen. You also have Henry Hagg Lake, and that's a fun, great place to go. No camping at Henry Hagg Lake yet, but you may see it in the future, but certainly a place to fish, ride your bike, picnic, have a good time with your grandkids or just your children or your loved one. Cook Park in Tigard, that's a neat place, a great place to access the Tualatin River. Again, it's open. I don't believe there's a charge to put your boat in the water, but if you don't have a kayak, you can certainly get them through the River Keepers. They do have a program there that we actually helped fund, and that was to purchase kayaks that people can use along the Tualatin River. We have several places where if you're into archery, you can play archery. We also have, and I didn't put up here, but we have many, many golf courses. Again, it's not free to play a round of golf. And I believe Pumpkin Ridge just told me they're about $100 around in the peak time. But you're still seeing folks, a lot of folks that are coming even to the Portland area are certainly coming out here to play golf. And that's because our golf courses are the closest golf courses if you're going to be in Portland or the area for any kind of business. We're also the closest breweries and wineries to the Portland area. And we have over 32 wineries throughout the Washington County area that offer you a complete tasting experience. And then the breweries are popping up. I think I've counted 9 so far, and I believe it grows on a daily basis. And it seems to be that beer is becoming as popular and as creative in their marketing and the presentation of as wine has become. And those are 2 of the local breweries that have just popped up here recently. Then farmers markets. I just plugged in everywhere every day because I think almost every town has a farmers market. Orango's on a Sunday, and you've got Hillsborough and Beaverton on a Saturday, and I think Tigard is a Tuesday. No, maybe Forest Grove is a Tuesday and Tigard's a Wednesday. But there is always a farmers market somewhere, somehow, some way. And then if it gets too hot, children love to go to Big L's, which is inside, and that's bowling and arcades and all of that stuff. I personally haven't gone inside, but I hear that it's quite cool.
You're missing out.
I am, that's what I'm hearing. And then Cinetopia, that's another one. I did go see Jurassic World the other day, by the way, but I didn't go to Cinetopia, but I understand that's a fabulous indoor theater where you can actually have a meal while you're watching the theater, and as you can see, 3D. So a lot going on. Now, a couple of things just to remind you of that this summer, take some time, and if you can't get on the scenic bikeway on your bike, why don't you get on in your car and take a drive around the area. We also have a wonderful Vineyard and Valley Scenic Tour that you can drive, and that's about a 60-mile drive, and that'll drop you by all of our U-Pick farms as well as through some of our Main Street and downtown areas that I think are very special and are the heartbeat of each of our cities. For example, Forest Grove Main Street, Hillsborough Main Street. You take a look at Beaverton and you go on Broadway. Really charming downtowns that over the last 3 years, I would say, have emerged to really being a destination for people when they are visiting the area and to really get a sense and a feel for what makes Washington County what it is. All right, now I want to open the floor for any questions that you have about what to do this summer. And if you don't have a question, I might pick a few of you and ask you what you are going to do this summer. We have somebody with a question. This is our greeter. Okay, the microphone's over here. Shall I get it for him and hold it?
Nope.
Okay. I can do a little bit of what Oprah does.
Well, thank you for coming, and we appreciate all this good information. But I also future think, what are you going to do with the pot shops?
Oh, okay. What's your first name first again? Let's introduce you again.
I'm clean and sober.
You're
so-
clean and sober. All right. All right. Okay. The young man had asked what we, the tourist office, is going to do about the marijuana dispensaries. And right now we're doing nothing because we are not a governmental organization. So there's not much that we can do. We are certainly abreast, certainly, doing our due diligence. We are doing our due diligence, and we're looking very, very closely at how the rules and regulations are being written in the state. We're also respectful of each city in Washington County, because each city is making a decision on what they want to do in regard to people purchasing or where those retail shops are. So we're sitting back and we're waiting. And quite honestly, I'm 53 years old, so you know I grew up in the 70s, graduated in 1980. I am flabbergasted, and that, I'm not saying in a bad way, that we're in this position. And it is like the Wild Wild West, and it is an exciting position to be in, I believe, just to see how we in fact are able to manage, market, and promote, and if in fact we're going to. But never in my life did I think that I would see this on my screen as a tourism marketing professional. So it's kind of exciting in a way to look at it.
Harry Bourdieu, board member. One thing you did not mention is that the Beaverton Community Band does a free concert on front of the library during July. It's on their website. And so that's one that's where you bring your lawn chair and sit on the lawn and just enjoy it.
Great. Harry, when is that so that folks out there can know that?
It's somewhere around the middle of the month.
Middle of the month, and it should be on our website. If not, I will go back to the office and make sure. But again, there's a wonderful band. It's the Beaverton
Community Band.
Community Band.
And it's music that I understand.
Yes, yes.
We'll tell you something. But anyway, my question though is this. Several years ago, friends of ours were down from Alberta. We went down to Tualatin on a Friday night. There was a concert every Friday night in the summer, different type of music every time. That would be, once again, it was free. Is that still going on?
Yes, I believe it is. That's at Hayden's Lake. And I don't know what the complete schedule is, but many places, and Hayden's Lake is a wonderful example, where it's by Hayden's Grill, where they have things going on in the summer. And a lot of what you're seeing happening here is, and I call it a back to the villages approach, where a lot of our communities are generating reasons for people to stay within their community and get to know their neighbor and to celebrate. So that's a good example. Thank you for reminding us and me. There are hundreds of things happening this summer. And Harry brought up a good thing. Please go to our website, and the website's actually a little bit easier to remember and shorter. It's tualatinvalley.org, O-R-G.
Hi, Virginia Bruce, forum member. I am just getting the Cedar Mill Historical Society underway, and I'd like to ask, what can we do in the historical preservation and interpretation community to get our wonderful pioneer and other historical resources on the map for the tourists? I have a theory that Washington County could be an international tourist destination for people who are interested in the Oregon Trail. And I know that we don't have a lot of there for people to come and visit. But what can we do to partner with you to make it happen?
Well, I think what we need to do is have a meeting. So just call my office and let's do that. And you're absolutely correct. There are some incredible cemeteries out there. And they're on our when I talk about that, yeah. It gives you the real feeling, affect of what those people had gone through when you're at those cemeteries and you see that person had passed away in 1892 and was born in 1820. So we find those interesting. We have a great county museum, but you're right, the problem is we don't have any one place or any one iconic thing that really brings together that whole Oregon Trail experience. We just have a lot of little things.
Right.
So we should sit down and talk and see what you've got. And we've got the Beaverton Historical Society. We've got a great historical society in Forest Grove that are working very hard to try and protect and restore a wonderful historic house out there that had a lot to do with that once those folks arrived here after the Oregon Trail. But history's important, but what you have to deliver somebody, when you talk about delivering history to a visitor, they want to feel it, they want to touch it.
That's right.
And that's what's important. You can't just show a plaque and say, this is where it was. They want to see something more and feel something more.
I'll give you a call.
All right, thank you. And my name and number should be in the information out there, but if not, I will give you a card afterwards. And real quick, as a matter of fact, I leave here to go to Baker City for a State Tourism Commission meeting that'll take place tomorrow morning. But what I will be doing after that meeting is I'm going to be going to the Oregon Trail Museum. I stopped in it once, but I only had a few minutes, and this time I said to myself, I need to give
Washington
myself.
County is easier to get to,
It sure is.
especially from the airport.
Yes.
Every place is easy.
So thank you, Carol, for being here. I really appreciating all your information. One thing I wanted to add to it, and that is Tualatin. Harry was talking about Tualatin, and they also have a. You didn't hear about the crawfish.
Oh, oh, I did mention that, and I'll mention it again. I believe it's July 21st, something like that. It's the weekend Tualatin Crawfish Festival, and I've been to it twice. It is quite fun.
Also, I opened up the Oregonian this morning,
And
I saw something that I have had the opportunity to see, but not too many people get a chance to see that, and that's Hines Falls. That's really interesting part of Washington County. It's out of the Tualatin River, close to the headwaters, and it's unfortunately it's in a private area, so you have to know how to. You have to know the right people to talk to, I think, to take a trip up there. When it starts.
so we're not going to let the public know where that is. Is that what you're trying to tell me? While this is aired on the public forum?
I'm just saying that you can't get by the log gate, so it's the hard part.
And
Anyway, so-
Harry, you brought up something really important too when you talk about those beautiful things that we have out there. Gales Creek, that's another one. Has anybody gone out there, the Gales Creek campground? I was there last week. Wonderful little river, creek. $10 a night to camp. You stake your claim, there you are. It's fabulous. Eric.
Eric Squires, forum member. I want to ask you more of a hardball question. In your PowerPoint presentation, I noticed so many of the slides and events were associated with cities or rural areas. And what I didn't see well represented, and I'm not placing blame, but what I found is that urban unincorporated areas did not have the representation in your slideshow. And I kind of see that as a theme within the county, since you are not a government agency, but you, as I understand, your organization is funded through transient tax. That I'm wondering what you could do to help me understand what your organization is doing to equalize that imbalance or that perceived imbalance. Do you have any comments?
I think it's perceived. Let's pick up the Oregon's Washington County Visitors Guide. You pick that up, Eric. Why don't you pick that up for me? And you're right. And no, the Visitors Guide. And if you turn it around. No, the other side, Eric. For the folks at home watching, at the top, what does it say, Eric?
It says Banks, Beaverton, Cornelius, Durham, Forest Grove, Gaston, Helvetia, Hillsborough, King City, North Plains, Sherwood, Tigard, 12, and Wilsonville.
All right. How many of those are actual cities? We won't go on. But anyhow, you're absolutely correct. We have several areas that are unincorporated, Loa, Helvetia, and I could go on. And those areas are just as important as anybody else. And yes, I didn't represent everybody up here. That's the mistake. That, I don't say it's a mistake. You're not going to be able to cover everybody. We have incredible arts groups, Bag and Baggage, Broadway Rose, Beaverton Civic Theater, that I didn't talk about. That you can actually go and see a play that is Broadway quality here in Washington County, and it will cost you a couple dollars, but well worth it. But you're right, is how do you actually find those iconic things in those areas? We do promote Aloha. There is a section of Aloha, and there is a section with Helvetia. And I believe you might have some festivals. I just have to make sure that they're up there the next time.
Some of it's our job to make sure that our unincorporated communities have stuff to promote.
Right.
Virginia Bruce is a great example of someone who does that for Cedar Mill, and I'm someone who's advocating for Aloha. But it's perception, and I just want you to take that to heart. I'm not going to give you a softball question, but what we're not giving you is a city that is going to organize these events and gift wrap them for you.
Right.
And so I think I would ask you just to do a little extra effort to make sure that you reach out to the 200,000 plus unincorporated residents of this county who are also the taxpayers.
That's a very good point. Thanks. And I will redouble my efforts.
Awesome.
I promise. Absolutely promise.
Chris Leslie, forum member,
How are you?
and
Give me a hard
I'm
one.
nicer than Eric.
Give me a harder one. I want one harder than that.
I didn't give you a hard question, but I was going to ask you about rivers and lakes. Are people encouraged to bring their own boats? Because that has caused pollution in some areas.
We, quite honestly, we don't encourage anybody to bring boats. because we really don't have big lakes. So canoe, absolutely. If you see our advertising, it would be that. I'm not out there with big boats. So no, we're not advertising that.
Was that hard?
No, that was an easy one. Now, if I were sitting in the Outer Banks of North Carolina and you'd ask me that question, I said, absolutely I advertise boats, because that was a place on the ocean. But here, we're not sitting on the ocean, so we do certainly try to, actually one thing I want to say, and I say this throughout my career, and it's very, very important. I'm a big believer that we need to work on our environment, that we need to recognize the fact that things are changing. I have a house on the coast of North Carolina, and I know what's going on. And one thing that's very, very important is tourism and the environment are not mutually exclusive. That's where I come from.
Right.
So anything that we try to promote and market, at least under my watch, certainly we try to maintain that integrity of the importance of the environment in whatever we do. And I have just recently begun to embrace cutting down trees. I didn't when I lived on the East Coast, but I do here because I realize it's a renewable resource. And not that I advocate cutting down trees, but certainly we advocate what you enjoy in the forest. But everywhere you live, the way you are as a person and what you do professionally has to shift a little bit depending on those constituents that you represent. So, and to answer your question, no, we don't promote bringing big boats to Hag Lake.
Well, that was mainly the pollution in Lake Tahoe.
Yes.
From the,
Yeah.
and outside indigenous species that are let loose.
And luckily, we're not dealing with offshore drilling off our coast here, like we are where my other home is.
Oh, just wait.
It'll figure it out. Thank you very much for coming. I appreciate it.
Hi, Anthony Mills. Thank you for mentioning Friends of Historic Forest Grove, because that really is a great
Yes,
organization, and I'm a member of that, and they have a cemetery tour coming up. I'm also on the County Planning Commission, which you've come and spoken to us about, agritourism, which has been sent back for reevaluation before we come up with something, but maybe you can talk about that. Also, I'm the chair of the county park board, and so please do bring your boats to Hag Lake. Don't pollute, but go ahead and bring them, and we'll have an RV park also that the county will have near the fairgrounds. So both the campgrounds at Hag Lake and the county RV park, certainly by next year, will be up and going. But if you want to talk about agribusiness and agritourism a little bit.
Sure. Real quick. We have 727 square miles. Of that, we have what I think is really great. We have what you call an urban growth boundary. And outside, when you get into that rural area, you do have folks that own farms and places that are needing to diversify the way that they are generating income for their farm. There's also things that are happening out in our rural area, and a bit of it is demand, where people are wanting to have weddings, where you pick farms are wanting to have more things happening, where other folks would like to see, for example, Laurelwood is a great, lovely little area, again, unincorporated area, where you could potentially have some interesting development done. What we've done is we have given a grant to Washington County, the government, an $80,000 grant, to hire some folks to actually do a real hard look at what we can and can't and what we should or what we could envision on how we can create some kind of what I would call a rural tourism management plan for the rural area of Washington County. So this is probably in its infancy a bit. I would say that the consultants have been on board a good 6 to 8 months, although the collective group of folks that are talking to these consultants have only met twice. So what we're trying to do, and we're trying to do this with the Chinese wall between us, of course, and the consultants, is really take a hard look is how do we want to see this county develop from a tourism standpoint, And when I say that, you also have to understand that we've got to respect the rules and regulations of what a citizen expects when they're living in an area. So this company is working through this process to see what we can and can't do. And if anything is to change from the current rules and regulations of what you can and can't do on your farms or your wineries or your lands in the unincorporated area, when those things change, it's of course going to go to the county board, the planning division. The planning division is going to look at it. And then of course it's going to go on to the county commissioner. So you're looking at a process that's going to take a little while. But when you look at rural tourism, or you look at what you call agritourism, that can be developed in a very good, very pure, and very positive way, to where you are sharing those experiences. And those types of people that generally really are attracted to things that are called, or in that basket of agritourism, are international travelers. Your Chinese, your French, your people from England, your people from South America. They want to see how Americans live, how they grow their products, what they eat, so on and so forth. So that's where we're going on that. And yes, when you mentioned RV Park, thank you very much, Washington County, for getting ready to build a really, really nice recreational vehicle park area at the Washington County Fairgrounds area. And that's something that people will certainly use and certainly attract folks. And then with Hag Lake, it's not to say that I don't put big boat pictures. I don't, because it's not that big of a lake. But he wants boats. Just so you know, Harry. Okay. And boats are cool. Boats aren't bad, but big boats are tough.
You almost stole my question.
Oh, okay.
There are tourists that come to this area, a few of them with big expensive cameras around their necks and spend huge amounts of money and then quietly go home. Is any of your information on your website or your printed material in a language other than English?
We do have, not on our website, but we do have several things printed in several different languages collectively on behalf of a regional marketing effort that we do with the city of Portland. So we actually, good night, I'm going further than I should, I'm sorry. It's 6 different languages, and we do what's called the Greater Portland Regional Marketing Effort, and that information is there. But it needs to be on our website as well.
In Japanese?
Yeah, we've got Japanese, Chinese, German, French, trying to remember, Spanish, of course. Portuguese is one that's emerging, but I don't think they've translated that one yet. Japanese, Chinese. So there's one more.
Sally Bonnell, forum member. You might not have heard that the Washington County Historical Society has moved the museum exhibit area to Hillsborough across the street from the courthouse, and it gives a nice overview of all of the people that have come to Washington County. Not only the people that came across the trails, but the Mexicans and also about high tech. So it's well worth going and visiting.
It's a good plug for the Washington County Museum. As a matter of fact, we did give them $50,000 or $60,000 or so, maybe a little more, about a year ago, to help them retrofit that area. And another big plug for the Washington County Museum, besides the fact that it's conveniently located on the main street in Hillsborough, downtown Hillsborough, they have their big gala this Thursday evening at their Rock Creek. And I'll actually pop out there with my youngest daughter, who's going to be in town that day.
Hi, Phil Nelson, board member. I'm just kind of curious on the materials here. It talks about Oregon's Washington County, the Tualatin Belt. Is this, I'm a little confused, are these co-equal or co-evil, or are they the same, or are they different, or are you creating a new kind of the destination area through the use of the term the Tualatin Belt?
Yes, we're shifting, it's what I would call a soft launch, to where we're the Tualatin Valley. The organization is Washington County Visitors Association. That's the organization that markets and promotes the county. Now, real quick, there are 32 Washington counties in the state, the United States of America. 32. There's also a Washington County parish in Louisiana. And then you also have Washington State, and then you have Washington, D.C. So part of the struggle for anybody to take a product and how do you name and brand that product? So while I didn't hire anybody, I've been doing this for 28 years, you struggle through it, you walk through it, go through it, go through it. And what is the natural thing that's organically emerged? We are the Tualatin Valley. So while we have on the masthead there, Oregon's Washington County, you're going to see the Oregon's Washington County kind of go below it. And it won't go away, but it will be known as the Tualatin Valley. And we'll be doing business as Oregon's Washington County. And real quick, I haven't announced it officially. I'm doing some silly project on my own, coincidentally. I'm visiting every Washington county. And I've never had an Instagram page in my life. I have one now. There's one picture up so far. But I have been to several Washington counties, but it never hit me until I got this job. And I'm thinking, 33 Washington counties, we're not the only one with this struggle. So it's been interesting for me as I'm going and visiting some of these counties. One's in North Carolina that's close to my home, and I asked them about their struggles, and one was in Colorado that I went to recently, and sit down with a couple of the county folks. I'm going on my dime just out of my curiosity. Because, going back to your question is, you've got two names, what are you? And that's been one of the biggest challenges we've had as a destination is what are we? Are we just Hillsborough? And of course, we're Hillsborough, we're Beaverton, we're Forest Grove, we're Aloha, and we're also Washington County. So we're going through that whole process of branding and naming the organization, or the destination.
Chris Leslie,
You're back again.
I'm always back.
All right.
I shall return. The idea of your organization, what is it really? Explain about your organization, its income and its outlays, and possibly how much you think you spend per visitor.
Ooh, it's hard to say how much we spend per visitor, but our annual budget will bring in about $3.3 million this year. Our budget, our revenues are directly related to the activity of people staying in paid accommodations. So the more people that stay in a hotel in Washington County, and the higher the rate can be, the more money we'll receive. We receive 3% or 3 pennies. When somebody spends $1, we get 3 cents of that. The other 7 cents, one of it goes to the state tourism effort, 1 cent, and the balance of those, which is 6 cents, that is divided amongst the county. The county fairgrounds, for example, gets 1 cent. And the rest of the dollars go towards the cities that have hotels. The areas that have hotels receive a portion, and there's some kind of a formula that's used. So our budget's about $3.4 million. And where we spend our money, a good $1.2 million is for direct advertising. Digital advertising, we've got ads in the Portland airport. You might have seen them if you pass through. We do some television, we do print still. You'll see us in Sierra Magazine, Autobahn, some other magazines like that. You've probably seen our ad in your magazine. And then we spend $600,000 or so on 10 staff, and that includes everything from an operational standpoint, not just salaries, but everything. And then we spend the rest of the money on, actually $400,000 of our dollars go towards development, bricks and mortar. I can give you a list of projects that we've done. One that just hit the newspapers recently, and we've given the city of Hillsborough $125,000. $75,000 of that is for their wayfinding signage program in the city of Hillsborough that was just unveiled. And then also they're currently in the process of designing what I look at as public art, is a more beautiful overpass on 26. Right when you're getting off and you're either go towards Helvetia or you're going to go towards Hillsborough. I think that is Brookwood Overpass. So $400,000 of our dollars are for grants, for projects that have a direct relationship to growing travel and tourism to Washington County. And so that's about where our money goes. And then we've got collateral pieces we print. Sales. I have 10 employees. There are 10 employees that include me. And I have one intern this summer, and she's the one that actually put together the presentation. I'm very proud of her. She's with Concordia University. And so I've got one intern, 9 employees, and then myself. And 2 of those employees are part-time. And the tourism industry generates $560 million last year, almost $500 million. And we see a little bit over 3.2 million visitors a year here. And when we talk about tourism and travel, it's not just the tourist that has the camera and the hat and all of that. It's also the man or the woman that's coming on a plane with Intel and landing at the Hillsborough Airport, and he's staying at a hotel, or she's staying at a hotel, and they end up going out to dinner that night, and then the next day they end up playing golf. So it's bigger than just that visitor that you think you see when you're in Disney World or you're on the beach. So we're real happy about where things are going. Tourism continues to grow, and I appreciate being your closing speech of the year. And hopefully I did okay. Rob, thank you.
Carolyn, thank you. And if there's any doubt as to whether you did okay, let me clear that up. You did just fine. You even looked at my name on my badge before you guessed. You know, that was excellent. Incredibly well done.
You saw my eyes.
I did, and I'm the one that spilled the water. You didn't. But we'll take care of that in just a moment. Folks, the next program is September 14th, Monday at noon. It will feature Tobias Reed talking about the past legislative session. There may be another speaker joining him from, well, another perspective, but that is unclear. We will certainly have Tobias. And please, over the next couple of months, watch your email. Those of you that have an email address with us, you will be hearing from us from time to time as we're developing stronger internal structure, and you'll be hearing about our programs. So, for the forum season, thank you, folks. Thank you for being here, and those of you at home, thank you too. Take care.